Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a literal X-ray journey straight beneath the floorboards of Norwood Homes. I mean, if you live in this area, you are walking on top of a completely hidden, super complex ecosystem every single day. And understanding how it works, well, that's absolutely the key to protecting both your property and your wallet.
Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever actually stopped and asked yourself, what's really lurking beneath your Norwood floorboards? I want you to imagine this hidden ecosystem right under your feet, and it's just relentlessly battling your home's infrastructure right now. We're talking shifting soil, invasive tree roots, wild temperature swings, and they're all working against pipes that honestly might be older than your grandparents.
And that age factor, it's huge. 1920, that is the year a lot of homes in Norwood started popping up during this massive residential building boom that lasted right through the 60s. So why does that matter to us? Well, it sets a ticking clock. Those original cast iron drain pipes, they are literally corroding from the inside out as we speak. And those old galvanized water supply lines are just getting narrower and narrower with decades of mineral buildup. So it's really not a matter of if they're going to fail, it's exactly when.
So, think of today's agenda as your essential survival guide. We're going to cover the hidden Norwood ecosystem, Norwood's most common disasters, emergency versus routine maintenance, the law of the pipes, and finally, the professional fix.
All right, Section 1, the hidden Norwood ecosystem. You know, Hamilton County is a surprisingly harsh, dynamic environment for plumbing. It is basically a subterranean battleground down there, with the forces of nature just constantly testing the absolute limits of human engineering. From November through March, these relentless freeze-thaw cycles just brutalize exposed exterior pipes. Then you've got heavy spring rains from the Little Miami River watershed completely overwhelming the area's aging combined sewers. And those are old systems designed to handle rainwater and raw sewage in the exact same pipe. Plus, you've got those beautiful mature oak and maple trees. Getting a bit gross here, but those massive trees send out thirsty roots that actively seek out the moisture and nutrients flowing inside your old clay sewer laterals. They literally invade and crush the pipes just to get a drink.
On top of that, seasonal soil movement is continuously shifting and stressing those underground water lines. And if you live near high-traffic areas, especially the corridors closer to I-71, the ongoing traffic vibration compounds all that soil movement. The ground is literally shaking and settling. That adds intense structural stress to those old, fragile pipe joints and sets the stage for some major underground conflicts.
Which brings us to Section 2, Norwood's most common disasters. When that underground conflict hits its breaking point, man, things go wrong very fast. The threats to these older homes become incredibly urgent. There are four main, equally dangerous threats we see over and over. You've got invasive roots causing massive main sewer line blockages and raw sewage backups. Gross. Then failing water heaters flooding basements, frozen pipes bursting in the dead of winter, and low water pressure, which is usually caused by decades of sediment just clogging up those old galvanized pipes until your water flow is restricted down to a totally frustrating trickle.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the stark contrast in water heating technology and the risks involved. Check this out. A traditional tank water heater only lasts about 8 to 12 years, and because of Norwood's notoriously hard water, sediment builds up incredibly fast inside them. When that internal corrosion finally causes a failure, it doesn't just, quietly stop working. No, it risks dumping 40 to 50 gallons of rusty water straight into your basement. Compare that to a modern tankless model, which lasts up to 20 years, is highly efficient, and completely removes that massive holding tank risk.
And speaking of severe weather risks, let's slow down for a second and look at this number, 20. This is a crazy, surprising fact. Exposed exterior pipes and the plumbing in your unheated crawl spaces don't typically burst the second the thermometer hits 32 degrees. Nope, the real danger zone, the exact moment when the water inside those pipes freezes solid, expands, and actually splits open copper or plastic, hits when winter drops below 20 degrees Fahrenheit.
All right, Section 3, emergency versus routine maintenance.
So I want you to ask yourself right now, do you want to be reactive, just waiting in fear for a catastrophe to strike? Or do you want to be proactive and stay in total control of your home? It's literally the difference between 2 a.m. burst pipe chaos, we're talking flooded basements, absolute panic, and emergency premium pricing because you need a pro out there immediately to stop the bleeding, versus calm, methodical control. Scheduling routine maintenance every 18 to 24 months, like professional drain cleaning and high-tech camera inspections, buys you complete peace of mind and prevents that whole 2 a.m. nightmare altogether.
So, what does that proactive approach actually look like day to day? Well, here are some super effective, actionable preventive maintenance steps. First, test your main shutoff valves yearly. You absolutely must know these work before an emergency strikes. Schedule annual inspections. And pay attention to this key point. Avoid chemical drain cleaners. Seriously, don't use them. Store-bought chemicals actually eat away and severely damage those old Norwood pipes, and they only give you temporary relief anyway. Instead, a really great habit is just pouring boiling water down your drains every week. It harmlessly dissolves grease and soap residue before a clog can even form.
Moving on to Section 4, the law of the pipes. We really need to talk about the legal and safety aspects of plumbing, because it is incredibly serious business. As the source material puts it, code requirements aren't suggestions. They're legal requirements that protect your family. So, the crucial point is, DIY plumbing in older homes is deeply risky. It's not just about, stopping a leak or making the water flow. We're talking life and death safety here. For example, improper venting on a DIY gas water heater installation, that can create deadly carbon monoxide hazards right inside your living space. Terrifying, right?
And this is exactly why the Ohio Plumbing Code requires formal permits for major work like water heaters, whole home repiping, and new appliance installations. And listen, following the code and pulling Hamilton County permits, it isn't just local government bureaucracy designed to slow you down. It actually protects your property value. If you don't have permitted, code-compliant work, it can completely void your homeowner's insurance coverage when a disaster does happen, and that leaves you entirely on the hook to pay for all the damages out of pocket.
Finally, Section 5, the professional fix. When you're dealing with these underground threats, finding a structural guardian is absolutely key. According to the source materials from local experts Keystone Plumbing Cincinnati, a professional playbook should look like a highly structured 4-step process. Step 1 is a complete diagnosis. They actually use diagnostic tools and cameras to find out exactly what failed and why it failed. Step 2, an upfront price quote. They diagnose before quoting, and the major benefit here is that the price you agree to never, ever changes once the wrench actually turns. Step 3, code-compliant repair and testing, making sure the work holds up to rigorous Ohio law. And Step 4 is a guaranteed cleanup, because nobody wants their basement left a total mess when the job is done, right?
The source also highlights that hyperlocal expertise is critical. A team tackling this area really needs to know the specific 1920s through 1960s architecture of Norwood. For instance, Keystone notes they're regularly out doing whole home repiping near Williams Avenue. They're clearing massive tree root mainline blockages on Quatman Avenue, and they're replacing water heaters all throughout the Surrey Square area. Because they work locally, they know exactly what materials are behind specific walls, mostly because they probably already worked in the neighbors' houses.
So I want to leave you with a crucial, memorable question to chew on. When winter hits 20 degrees this year, will your pipes be ready? You now understand the hidden ecosystem constantly working against your Norwood Homes infrastructure. Don't wait for that 2 a.m. flood and those painful emergency premium fees. The takeaway from today's source material is crystal clear. Take control, get proactive, and secure your home before the next disaster strikes. Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer today, and keep learning.